Many of them, you're supposed to come back 10 years later. You haven't turned up yet. Just go back. So it's also the myth that is not true. That there is
Wow.
sometimes a misconception around that. Like, oh, I only had one jab and that was it. Some of them are for life, but some of them you actually, because we know that the protection for many vaccines over time wanes. And the reason why we know that for the flu and the COVID vaccines that they wane is because they're actually meant to protect you over the season, because the virus is going to change. So there's no point you having the flu vaccine you had from 10 years ago. It's not going to protect you from the flu that's going around today.
Mm.
You need the one for today. So that is why it is that way.
Sure. Affinity Xtra. Be extra.
Yo, people, this is boy here, Roger Moore here from Affinity, Xtra, celebrating gospel music of black origin. We're here in the season to be jolly, in a season where we have it raining outside, in a season where we're ready for the cold to kick in a season where we're looking for them artificial fur coats that are good for the environment and good for people. We're in that season because we know as a people, we're not looking forward to the season when it comes to sniffing, coughing, and everybody knows they're scared about it. Now, we got a specialist because we're doing an NHS special right here with a pharmacy, I would say pharmaceutical. I feel like American when I say pharmaceutical. Yeah, pharmaceutical expert here who's here to go through the details on how we can kind of like really get through the season, because there's a number of things that have been put on the table for us as a people. And now I want to introduce it, and we'll get to them 3-4 issues we've got to deal with coming up anyway. So yeah, but I'm going to introduce you to Ade Williams, who's going to just give you a quick sum up of what he does. Go for it, sir.
Oh, good. Thank you very much, Roger. My name is Ade, like you said, Ade Williams. I'm a pharmacist based in Bristol, in South Bristol, in Bedminster. And the role of pharmacist is, part of the NHS. All your community pharmacies are. And we are one of the most accessible parts of it. In fact, we know that we see more people in the average day than many other parts of the NHS. And that gives us a unique sense of how do we care for people? How do we look after them? How do we make them feel? We are also very reflective of the communities that we take care of. A lot goes on in those pharmacy counters, isn't it? You come in, you're meeting up with people, you've been avoiding some auntie or uncle, they're there, you get sent in. It's where life happens. That's for us, it's a great responsibility and a wonderful opportunity. And I know that one of the joys of talking with you, Roger, is that you are very much a community-minded person, and you really effuse that energy. And community pharmacy really loves people, and we love to get them into the best space that they can be, because we know nobody wants to be unwell. So our role is not just to kind of dish out tablets to people, but actually to help you stay well, look good, feel good. And one of the things we definitely don't want you to get is to come down with any kind of cold or flu, or even COVID as well. So yeah, so that's us.
No, that's fantastic. And I think it's great because I feel that we've gone through a season where we have, as a community, lost a bit of trust in the system in terms of medicine. But sometimes we fail to realize that that's affecting us as well at the same time, because misinformation is one of the key things why people are not getting true diagnosis, are being ignorant because of WhatsApp messages. I'm not blaming WhatsApp for that, but I'm just saying people message information around. I work in the media industry, and if I talk to you and tell you that I'm a doctor, you wouldn't even know if I'm a doctor or not. If I just start talking and then giving you some good ideas, if I look good in my eyes, people fall for it. So we're here to talk to a professional who's trained in this area, about something that our community is very scared of. Now, let me just give you a quick scenario, just set this whole conversation up. Just imagine now, I'm there in a conversation, we're all laughing about this anyway. We all said, what do you do now when you're in a public space and you want to cough? What about now? Because when you cough this winter, that cough means so much, yeah? That's it. I was watching a podcast and I was making jokes out of you do everything to stop yourself from coughing. You hold it in. You don't, because straight away you think of the big C word, COVID. You think about the flu, and you think about colds to think about. So there is and just general coughs, and you've got so many levels of it that we almost self-diagnose ourselves to say it isn't COVID straight away. We say, and then we say, oh, there's no way I ain't had flu in my entire life. Oh, it's just a common cold. You know what I'm saying? But but the thing is, we gotta be very, very. Oh, it's just a random cough because you just had some dust come your nose. But the thing is that we're self-diagnosing it now. Ade, we're looking into this now. Can you kind of break down from a pharmaceutical perspective, from your perspective, how big this area is coming into the winter? This whole, I don't know, is the right word sickness, disease, illness? What is the correct word for this? I don't know, this coughing spectrum.
You do, and you know what happens is that as the weather changes, as we go away from, it's not just that your clothes change. You bring out your fur coats and you kind of take away those Bermuda shorts away and those trendy summer short sleeve shirts again. No. But one of the things, of course, that happens is that we know that as the weather changes, our bodies also become more vulnerable to the viruses. And this is it. There's all these different viruses that and usually you call them respiratory viruses. They call cold, they call flu. And another one now that is going to be part of that because it affects the respiratory system is the COVID one. And when they do, each of those different sort of viruses that we can come into contact with, and we all, thanks unfortunately to COVID, we become very aware of how viruses are spread, and they spread usually through droplets. So that's where people sneeze, cough, so you need to cover your, cover your mouth, wear a mask if you've got something wrong. But when they do, you spread these infections around, and these viruses are just unpleasant. Although we kind of, if you're healthy and you're young and you may not, you can be a bit unwell about it. But one of the things we mustn't forget is that just last year, almost 200,000 people, about 190,000 people were in hospital as a result of one of these viruses. So they're still out there. COVID as the pandemic might be not where we are, but certainly we still have to look at how do we protect people from these viruses over the winter that can make them feel unwell. And if you have other health conditions as well, you got to weaken the immune system as well, or you're taking treatment, or you've had treatment for things like cancer, then you are more vulnerable as a result of this. And what that means is that when we come into this winter month, one of the key things that you find the NHS talking about, and particularly community pharmacies, because community pharmacies even now have provided almost 2 million doses of vaccination just this year already. About half of all vaccinations actually that people have had for COVID is this year has come from community pharmacies. Is that we know that the vaccinations protect against the viruses. Now they protect against flu, they protect against COVID. Cold, the common cold, virus is a different one where actually you need to manage that. And part of that mention of information is a key bit, Roger, because first one is some people will say, well, they're all the same. I'm always fine. So we want to say, well, they're not. Actually, cold and, yes, you can self-manage it. Yes, you can, we can help you with that. Flu is really nasty. Yes, you can get over it, but, some people don't. Many people, it can make you feel very unwell. If you're already unwell, it can really push you into seeking hospital care, getting admitted, that's there. COVID, well, we all know about COVID. And although in one sense, people sometimes think, well, COVID's all gone now, it's over. Well, actually, there are new variants and people are still getting, unwell from it. And we don't want to take the risk. And there's also long COVID as well. So this is all about the responsible thing. And let's just, we're going to break it down. Yeah. People know what cold is, how you manage it. Flu, how do we get protected from that? COVID, and also what do I need to do, and all the bits in between as well. We're going to be really digging into it.
So just want to remind people about the fact that basically you've mentioned as it's a virus, so I was saying disease, illness, and whatsoever. So we're gonna categorize this is a virus situation. Now I'm going to sum up. You got chickenpox and measles. Growing up, there were two separate things, but very similar. At the same time, they came up in some sort of bumps and whatsoever. Is that like the flu and COVID? They are similar outputs, but total different makeup. Is that a good illustration?
It's a good way to look at it. Although, one we've got to be careful is that each of these viruses are, they're different. So they cause diseases. You're right. They cause diseases. But what is different about each of these viruses that we're looking at, my brother, is that the way they impact the body is unique to the virus.
So
COVID, some of them they will have an impact on the same part of the body. There. So when we look at, for example, the common cold virus, a flu virus, and now COVID, we know that they are respiratory. They clear the line there. But when they go in, we know that, okay, when you get the common cold, actually, yes, you get, some of them have the same symptoms. Everybody, you feel you feel congested, you got your runny nose, you're sneezing, your eyes getting inflamed, you just there. You get a slight temperature, that could be the common cold there. You can take some fluid, take some things to help, maybe a sore throat, take something to help with that, something to control your, the temperature. You get the flu for it then. You then have some of those symptoms, but you have them in a more extreme way. It's more drastic. You're getting fever, maybe getting a very high fever, getting really bad headache. Your breathing is getting a bit strained there. Now that's the flu. You're in bed, your body is aching. You are that way. And actually, many times if somebody sees you, they may be thinking 50-50, should we call the ambulance? Should we take him into hospital? Now we know from COVID, of course, when COVID turned up, that the most common symptom used to be the cough. The cough, and then the loss of sense of smell, and then taste and things. And for many people, it was different. It was a bit cold-like, but actually, but then for some people, it can. You kind of had this measure where people had symptoms that were fairly, sometimes very mild, and then could change quite suddenly.
Yeah,
and before you do it, they're like downhill quickly. They can't really breathe. They're there. So you see that it's all about the viruses. And the thing about it is that we know that the particularly for the flu and also for the COVID virus, that they mutate as well. So they change. And because they change, when we look at how you vaccinate or design vaccines for flu every year, it changes to try and make sure it catches the right strain. Now, for the COVID one, it also changes. And because it changes, we're still learning about it. Learning to say, are the symptoms still the same? But we are seeing, one thing we can tell is when people turn up in hospital and we find out that, they've got COVID and that's why they're here, we may not yet know, actually, are the symptoms changing? So, there, but we certainly know that the virus is still making people feel poorly. It's still there, and I think that's quite important for us, that even when we are looking at some of that, that combination of the symptoms, what we mustn't do is we want to make sure people understand the difference. We want to make sure that actually, if you're protected from flu, you're protected from COVID, and if all you're turning up, to the pharmacy for or looking for help with is a common cold, then that's fine, because that's that we can help with. But the ones that we know carry the risk of making you feel very unwell, the ones that carry the risk that actually putting you at at danger of ending up in hospital, the one that carry the risk of being more transmittable actually, and could really hurt your close contacts, your family, people that you care for, that are elderly or or their immune system is not strong or they have other conditions, are those two. So there is a sense in which it sometimes they look a bit similar. But we mustn't kind of just play them down, and we must know that the COVID-19 is novel. It's a new. We're still learning about it. It's definitely not like the common cold, but it's contagious. We know that, which is very common with viruses as well. That's what it does. And yes, some of the symptoms may be similar, but we know that they're extreme. The fatigue that you get with COVID, and the headaches and the chills and the. It's not, we know that, it can be, but we also know that for some people, actually, they don't get that. But then all of it, they just deteriorate very, very rapidly. So it's all of those things as well. That is the reason why we do the COVID test, there, you can still get those now. But those things that kind of remind us that, we don't test for flu and we don't test for cold, for colds. You can't get tests for COVID, but, there's taking no chances about it, getting protected.
And it's a bit of an uphill battle, because colds has always been a a self-diagnosis thing from since I was a child. You know, it's always been, like I said, a diagnosis. We you know, someone's got a temperature. You know, I know it sounds old school. They used to put them out. Apparently, old school way of getting rid of fever was put them in the snow. You know what I mean, outside, and you know, things like that. If you really, and you'll see films, old films where they put water on their head and you're going through feet. You know, there's certain things with coughs and colds that we just self-diagnose, and I feel that there's that culture of, okay, things, dare I say, COVID is almost, we're trying to push that into that self-diagnosis. We can handle this at home cold because we feel like it's degraded, which from what you're saying, it hasn't degraded in terms of its impact, its evolvement, and it's continually evolving. But what I find is that also the trauma of the whole period of COVID has put us in a phase of trying to deny if we have it and we don't want. We think of the times where we've been put off work because we've got COVID. We think of things that we're going to lose out on, and we still naturally want to be in denial. And that's the scary thing about us, that, you know, we're not going out there, let's get a COVID test. You know, we still, me, you know, even going to myself, I'm really going to, every time I cough, I'm going to do a COVID test, because for me being self-employed, you know, that's a killer. You know, so there's still them mental blocks that we're having as a community, as people, as human beings, because of sometimes the stigma around with it. But again, let's keep on going, because we want to point out, because I think that sometimes the tests are available at pharmacies, but my challenge is to everybody is that we've got to look inwardly and say, you know, I need to take the test. There's times where we know we know we got it. We know we got something. You know what I mean? We know we need to be tested, because it stops the spread. And also for somebody who is vulnerable, you may be fine, but somebody who's vulnerable might not be fine. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And I think we have to be wise with that. But yes, you know, and again, you know, we're looking at coughs and colds. Now growing up, just remember paracetamols being the natural comeback for that. So for them lower level kind of winter situations, would you say that you would be advising something similar to that still to this very day?
Yeah, and I think, you know, you kind of really come to the crux of what is the role of community pharmacies. So one of the things that we say is that community pharmacies help to support and facilitate self-care. And what does that mean? Every one of us, you know, spend most of our time looking after ourselves. It's not, you know, the pharmacies or the doctor or the A&E that looks after us. You know, we make decisions about ourselves, our health and well-being. They're based on what we know, you know, and what we want, you know, what we think is attainable. So first thing is that we want to create a society where everybody thinks that the best of health and well-being is attainable to them. You know, that's right. That is one of the key fundamental values of the NHS there. The other bit is that everybody's got information. You know, so there's, you know, evidence-based information, you know, whether that is because you're checking the NHS website or you're going to things like the Self-Care Forum, which is the organization that supports the NHS in terms of providing information about self-care with evidence that is there, not just what some guy on Instagram is saying or some TikTok video. This is evidence. This is what works, you know, there. The other bit is actually, you know, when you do need help, how do you get it? How do you go to the right place? Now, community pharmacies, you know, myself and my team and colleagues that work in the pharmacy, we're all trained. We're healthcare professionals. They're not just the pharmacists, but also the team that works with us, our pharmacy technician colleagues as well. So when you come in and you've got a minor or common ailment, as we call them there, we can look at what is the best over-the-counter remedy that can help you if you need one. Sometimes you don't, actually, because we're not out to try and get your money. You know, what we want to do is to tell you this can help you if you need it. And you can choose not to. There, you can say, actually, you know, if I don't, I'm okay, but not. More also, while you're there as well, we can also say, actually, this is looking less common. This is getting worrying. We want you to go and contact your GP. We want you to go to the walk-in center. We want you to call NHS 111 because, you know, you've had a cough that's been, you know, there for longer than 3 weeks, for example. you're starting to lose weight. You said, you've got swollen glands. That's not, that's not normal. So we kind of are also there to kind of almost filter through what people's values and behavior is, to align it to the evidence and use that to help them there. So you're right. Those remedies are still there, still strong and there. But more importantly, is that we are there to actually, and some people want natural remedies as well. We can also help you to kind of know this, because what we see is that we are empowering you to take care of yourself. And if we do that, that helps you. So there. But key part of it is that is one of that is to know that it's always a sensible, wise thing to speak to a healthcare professional, and community pharmacies as part of the NHS are the right place to have those conversations.
No, that's amazing. That's fantastic, because I just remember going to Pharmacist when I was younger. You got the fisherman sweets and sorry guys, I'm just going to some really good nostalgic times here with the Pharmacist. Save you, you're going to work. If you can, I need to get through work. I need to go to the Pharmacist and find a way of getting through work today. And the Pharmacist helped. Going to my farm, which I had a good relationship, and going to him, and he would say, okay, this is what I suggest, this is what you take, this is what you do, this and whatever. And and I think it's really important for us to really build up this trust. But one thing I'm amazed with, and some subconsciously I thought pharmacists were just a case of bringing prescriptions and getting it from the doctors and getting cough sweets and a few extra dose medicines, is the role that pharmacists are now taking part when it comes to, you mentioned about the jabs. Now flu jab came about a while back now, but you always thought of going to the doctors. You never really thought about going to, you think you look at the pharmacist going, he's gonna jab me? Is he quality? You know what I mean? Because you just don't see, you just see them as almost a case of somebody facilitating medication. You don't see them as somebody who is, like you said, a healthcare practitioner. Who has the ability to cover that. So I'm noticing these little booths are coming, like photo booths are coming up in our local pharmacists, and now flu jabs came about, and now due to the epidemic that we've had, COVID jabs are now available at your local pharmacists. Now there's a lot of questions from the community which are faced in terms of, okay, which one am I taking? That's the first question. You know what I mean? Like, which one, why am I getting letters for both? Some people getting letters saying, I'm not doing both of them. I've never done flu jab. I don't need to do flu jab right now, but I'm just going to do COVID and that's it. Just explain from your perspective in terms of the importance, if you especially been informed by your doctors, why it's important for them to knock your door, make the appointment and get both the jabs. And do they take them at the same time, or is it a process where there's a gap in between?
Definitely so important to to get this right, because like you said, people get the invites and they get the letters and they go, why me? I just had one 10 months ago, why another one? What's going on? And I think the key thing to mention here is that over the next this particular winter season, at the beginning of it, the NHS is trying to make sure that we get everybody, who is most at risk of becoming seriously ill from COVID and from flu, and also those that help with caring, or they work in a nursing home, or if you have a role that means that you are in close proximity to those people who have those vulnerabilities. We're inviting them to come in and get a free NHS flu and COVID vaccines, which are available for them, ahead of the winter months there. And because we know that winter months, the viruses are going to spread. So the key thing is, while, as long as we're all staying indoors, we're going to be making more contact with each other. The only way to protect us, sharing, as we care and share the same space, is to get the vaccines in. So when you get invited, the first thing is, why am I getting invited? Is people that get invited are those that we know, if you're over 60, over 65, if you happen to be pregnant, if you have sort of any ongoing health conditions that affect your respiratory system, your breathing, your heart, your kidney, your liver, if you're immunocompromised as well. We also know that children are also being invited in, children from the age of 5 and they who have any ongoing health conditions, they are also being called in. If you've got diabetes as well, we want to protect you, because we know that for these people, actually, if you come in contact with and end up having COVID or flu, you could end up in A&E. So that's why the other question people ask is, but is it not the same vaccine then? It's not the same one as the one I had before. No, never. Why? Because now we have what is a worldwide monitoring program. So what that means is, there's samples of the variants that are in circulation, and that is what is used to design the vaccine. So the vaccine you're getting, is one that is actually helping to fight what is making people end up in hospital at the moment. So that means that your vaccine is aware there. We also know that when you get vaccines, your protection, and I think sometimes we forget, we compare these vaccines to our childhood vaccination. You got those one jab and that was it for life.
That's it. That's what I think. Yeah,
that's it. And actually, we one of the first things to say is for everybody, if you've had your childhood vaccines, go and check them up, because many of them you're supposed to come back 10 years later. You haven't turned up yet. Just go back. So it's also the myth that is not true. That there is sometimes a misconception around that. I only had one jab and that was it. Some of them are for life, but some of them you actually, because we know that the protection for many vaccines over time wanes. And the reason why we know that for the flu and the COVID vaccines that they wane is because they're actually meant to protect you over the season, because the virus is going to change. There's no point you having the flu vaccine you had from 10 years ago. It's not going to protect you from the flu that's going around today. You need the one for today. So that is why it is that way there. So that engineering ability and the fact that the technology now means that, it's the same vaccine, but you can tweak it very easily, and then, it's safe. We know it's efficient, and it's available, just means that actually this is there for you. And instead of booking this, you got the text or you got the letter, you ignored it then, and now you're listening to Roger thinking, oh, actually, I never got it. I didn't do anything about it. And my GP surgery is no longer offering it. They invited everybody at the beginning of September, and I didn't go. Now, if you call 119, you will find that flu vaccines are still available in different locations, including many community pharmacies there. So they'll be able to tell you where you can go. So if you go past your pharmacies, many of them will tell you that they do walk-in ones. You can book in as well. Sometimes there's special clinics. Some of them are held in churches and community halls, walk-in clinics as well, there. So there is this big push. The NHS really wants it, because why? Well, one is that it's safe. Second bit is that it's freely available to you. You need it. And thirdly, actually, we know that if you end up having this horrible infections, your life is at risk for something that for a jab, which may or may not take for 2 hours. But if you want to milk it and say that for the next day, you can't move that left arm apart from when you're sitting down in front of the telly, that's really up to you.
Yeah.
But what we want to say is this, that's it. So there is a way to do this, but the science certainly tells us that this works and it really protects people.
And I think, illustration came to me as he's talking. Guys, just imagine you got your for me, I got my phone out here. There's a reason why you have software updates. You have software updates because they have security. Security comes up there, yeah? The reason why you have to evolve security, because the theft and the ability to get crack into your phone evolves, yeah? The same way the virus evolves, I'll kind of pick up today, but to tweak up the security package, which is the jab, so it's compatible, so it's able to fight the current. So you can't use operating system that is like 0.1. You got to use 0.5 to protect you from the current viruses, the current security issues that you have right now. And then so we're happy to update our Apple devices, and our Android devices, whatever device you have out there. We have to update from our laptops and whatsoever all the time, specifically security patches. That's a crucial part. So it makes total sense why they have to always evolve the jabs that they're giving to us. So it's not the same jab from 9 months, 10 months ago and whatsoever. And also you put out a real pressure to us to really have a look at our jabs, because a lot of people, if you don't travel a lot, you don't really need to. I remember when I went to Nigeria in 2001 or 2, and you had to take a list of things: malaria, yellow fever. I think it was yellow fever. Probably people laughing like they say, "Oh, you don't need to do that now." But we had to take a lot, and you had to make sure that you had your malaria stuff like 2 weeks before, let it go through your system. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
So we already look at it if we go to another country, thinking that we don't need anything for this country, and. It's to you really heightened a conversation which you can easily have, guys, with your local farm. If you haven't got any paperwork or you just want to have a chat with your local, you don't need to book in with a doctor. You can go down to your local pharmacist right now and have a good chat. Say, listen, this is where I'm at. This is all what I've had out here, in the past from what I remember. And all I remember is the one that used to prick TB and they pricked your shoulder. That permanently marked it. It gives you a permanent mark for the rest of your life. We're not, hopefully they invented something. It seems they invented something better these days. But
we the old school ones, Roger. We bought paid for this generation. They don't have to.
Bro, they're scarless. There's one for polo. They used to put it in sugar or something like that. So guys, if we draft people laughing now, listening into the conversation, but vaccinations, as much as I could moan about that, I'm here today. And we don't know how many bullets I've dodged because of vaccination.
And I think sometimes, people do think about it and they have their understandably anxieties around vaccines. But we mustn't forget that if not for vaccines, now, look, we got a malaria vaccine and it's going to save lives.
Wow,
and I think we mustn't forget that before vaccines, it wasn't as if it was that people were dying. It wasn't the sense of vaccines are like a add-on, life was okay, and then they brought this vaccine to try it out. No. Actually, a lot of those childhood vaccinations we had, particularly if you grew up in the, in more, tropical or temperate regions of the world, you had real things that could really end your life as a child, and the vaccines protected you from measles, from polio, from there. When you had those vaccines, they were because you could see, and it wasn't that difficult to remember people who died from things that vaccines protected you from. And I think as much as we're very grateful for the advancements that we have because of healthcare, development, we mustn't forget that when we're talking about things, for example, like COVID or flu, is that these are things that do kill, and we know this. So so the vaccines, that's why the technology goes in, and yes, we may have some anxiety around it, rightly so. That's where the science comes in. That's where my role is, to say that if I am giving somebody a vaccine, I am accountable for it. So, the same with any doctor, nurse, any healthcare professional. So, because if we are the ones giving it, we make sure, we need to know that what we're doing is not going to cause Roger any harm. Cool. So this is not some mass experiment, no, this is how science and medicine work together there. But in it, there's accountability. There are people like myself who are responsible to make sure that this thing that we're doing is the right thing for you. Yeah. So that's why we do. But ultimately, you have to make a choice. It's all about you. And if you say, well, actually, I'm not going to engage, I'm not going to go in, that choice means that you're putting yourself at arm's in harm's way. So very important point about that. Actually, look at all the COVID vaccines that we've all had now, and look, it's actually, look at the world we're back in now. It's a result of that. We've been able to get around and overcome some of the challenges of this, but we mustn't be complacent. Certainly. But also, we mustn't for a moment forget that this is ongoing. This is, so like I said, this is the upgrade now, and the upgrades will keep coming there. But but we know what works. We know how our body responds to them. That's the good bit in there. But the accountability, the quality, the standards of care are still as tough on it. No part of the NHS has gone to sleep now. They think, just get no.
Yeah,
still the same.
No, 100%. And I hope people are kind of like getting from this conversation that pharmacists have a major part to play in this, but also to say that, in this season right now, we need to be vigilant, 100% vigilant, and we don't need to be vigilant by going and doing Google searches, which are important because we know we can reach out some key support services on there, but you can just walk down to road. I must admit, all my life, I've been within a mile's walk from my local pharmacist. literally within a mile. So I could say, when I was younger, I was walking uphill to get to it, and obviously I have to walk down the hill afterwards. But now I walk down the hill and then walk back up to my house anyway now. So I've always been within, I would say, 500 meters of my local pharmacist all my life, you know. And I think if we think about it, we are so close, guys, that you can see a friendly face in there and have that communication with them, whatever you are facing now. Now, something that got raised a lot. Now, growing up, some certain drinks always had added vitamin C, and we thought, yes, this will stop me from getting a cold or whatsoever. But all of a sudden, vitamin D came a thing. You know, we've got vitamin D. Where did that come from? Oh, because you need more sun. It's all connected to sunshine. And if because of and everyone started looking at black people. Yeah, you're not meant to be here, mate. So that's why you can't absorb the sun so well. So it's like, so I felt like it was a kind of dig at black people because we needed more vitamin D and whatsoever. So what's the what is a true, as we're closing down, what is a true what's the tale behind vitamin D and why we need to take it? You know what I'm saying? And
so good one. So vitamin D is great. You know, it's like God's gift to all of us. You know, the skins where, you know, your sun comes in onto your skin, and because you got, you know, melanin, you know, there of that, you know, not only does it keep away the wrinkles, also helps you convert the sunshine, you know, rays from your, you know, on your skin, and gives you a natural sort of resource for vitamin D. And vitamin D is important because it helps your body for immunity. It helps actually also your mood as well. Actually, you know, makes you that kind of booming, bright smile, you know, there, that's it. There, you know, helps your bones as well, you know. So it's really important. Calcium, vitamin D helps you keep you strong bones. So lots of good things that it does in terms of other things as well, and also helps in terms of how your body functions. You know, making sure that some of your other organs as well work well. So what happens in the winter months, unfortunately, is that if you have the darker skin, you know, the melanin that gives you so much great, you know, vitamin D in the summer months, you're robbed of that because, you know, it's cloudy, it's dark, it's damp, there's no sunshine. There you have a natural tendency then to be vitamin D deficient, because the little sunshine that's coming through there, your skin's not, you know, what made you so great in the great sunshine is what works against you in those darker days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we then say is that if you have a person that has got a, you know, of a darker skin tone, you know, that, you know, black or brown skin, is what we expected. Actually, you should always have vitamin D supplementation in the winter months as well. Now, if you're finding that you're feeling very tired as well, you're feeling really, your moods are going a bit down, then, you can speak to your GP, but most of the time, you don't even get a blood test for this because we know that you're going to be deficient. Is how bad is it? And what we then say is just, up that level, get some vitamin D supplementation. So everybody there, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, you know what? I never have any vitamin D, so you're deficient. We know that. And it's not something that's going to be easily made up from your diet. That's why we say get some supplementation in. Brilliant. It helps your immune system, makes you feel better, helps you look better, and helps to protect you, your body as well, and keep you in a good shape. So that's why we want you to get the vitamin D in.
Guys, you've heard it here first, man. Guys, first of all, we got to get, just to conclude, let's start off where we just ended. Vitamin D as an important supplement for us people who are brown and black skin. You know what I'm saying? Basically brown, because brown is quite a broad colour out here anyway, so yeah. But it's brown for brown people. I think because well explained by Ade, and if you got any more questions, please go to your local pharmacy. Please, guys, because it's important that we get the right supplements and just get the right, that's always, I would say, correct thing, diagnosis. Also, guys, please, any questions you have about vaccinations, don't hide yourself, don't search about it, please. Feel no way, 500-meter walk to your local pharmacist, straight down the road, up the road. Please, guys, make the time, have that conversation, and I'm sure And I must admit, pharmacists are usually smiling when you come to the place.
That's it. Because we got our vitamin D.
Yeah. Everyone's happy there. They have all the supplements lined up, man. It says, yo, I'm cool today, you know. So absolutely fantastic. So guys, please go to your local pharmacies to support this information in this season. This dark and dreary season. Sorry, I'm not selling England at all if you don't live in England. You know what I'm saying? Don't come to England, but no, it's dark and dreary season, guys. On a serious note, we got cold, coughs, flus, COVID itself, and also a general well-being, you know what I'm saying, to take care of. And our local pharmacies, thanks for the information you're giving us today, Ade, yeah?
Always a pleasure, Roger.
And guys, don't worry about this, guys. We're going to be going into 2024, and I got everyone's contact list from the NHS, so we'll be continue contacting people through the NHS for support, for evolutions, any new ideas, anything we see out there. Any questions you have, please make the comments so I can go back to the NHS and say, listen, this is what the people are saying. Please comment. Anything else you want to say, Ade, that you just want to finish off on?
No, I think it's just really to say thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, because, you know, the work that you do, Roger, you know, this is where community is important. And this is why we mustn't forget, you know, especially this year, you know, 75 years of the Windrush generation that came to help to set up the NHS in this country, is that, you know, we all have aspirations to have good health and well-being. It's a universal thing. And actually the NHS, the core value is to help us to do that. Now, the community pharmacy is one of the outlets that happens. You know, what we're talking about today, you know, information, giving people vaccinations as well, you know, giving you evidence-based, you know, sort of decisions around vitamin D and lead, and saying to you, it's okay for you to query things. You know, you have the right. Come in, ask questions. Actually, I'm not sure what's in the vaccine. All of that is fine. But remember this, is that when you come in, we're never putting up with you. We are protecting you, because this is why your NHS exists. So, you know, all of these things, don't ever think that it's just for them. You know, no, it's for you. And we want you to come in, find out about it, let us help you make that decision that's right. You've got other questions, you know, you've got things, like I said, after listening to this, get in touch with Roger, get in touch, go into your pharmacy. I heard this guy saying this, I want to find out. That's what we're here for. But ultimately, don't let yourself look back and think, you know, I should have had that. You know, if you know someone that's pregnant, lots of pregnant people don't have the vaccinations, puts their baby at risk, puts them at risk there as well. So again, let's have these conversations. Let's say, why are you not having it? You know, it's safe. You know, and if you're not sure, somebody says something somewhere, please challenge us. We know we're happy with that, because we're here for you and we care. But no, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to speak to you about all these things again.
Thank you so much, my brother. Listen, guys, on that note, Brother Ade, you take care, man. Yeah, you take care. God bless you all, guys, and thanks again.
Take care.
Hey, this is your bishop. This is your bishop from Rock Solid. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for clicking and subscribing, and also sending these videos to other people as well. We are so hungry to get your support. So remember, check us out on our website, and also check us out on Insta, and wherever you want to find us on Spotify. You can play us all day as well. And just make sure that you are supporting this channel, that we are developing our agenda towards music of Black origin, and that is gospel music with a message. So please walk with us on this journey. Bye now.